Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the TTG Esports channel for the first round of a short series to finish off F1 2021. Before we get into F1 22, I should say, it is the TTG Esports Invitational. 5 weeks of action to determine who is going to be the best out of the 10 teams we have got here. My name is Luke Etheridge, and joining me in the commentary box for tonight, and hopefully for as many races as he can make, is TTG's streamer himself, Ayub Khan. Ayub, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? Hope everyone's having a nice evening. Hopefully we can bring an entertaining race and a good qualifying prior to it as well.
Yeah, certainly. Bahrain always tends to have some interesting races. We'll get a bit more into that later as we'll quickly flash the calendar back up onto stream again, just to get you a bit of an idea of how things are going to work. It's going to be 5 weeks, 10 teams, 2 drivers each. They are, of course, going to chop and change throughout the season. You can see the calendar on there. Bahrain this time out, Belgium in a week's time, Saudi Arabia on the 21st of May. Then there's going to be a break week before the final 2 at Imola and Brazil. 5 tracks there that definitely always seem to provide brilliant racing action.
Yeah, for sure. All these tracks are really good for racing. Good overtaking opportunities at pretty much every track. Good DRS zones. So yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah, definitely should be. But a bit less about what's happening in the future, a bit more about what'll be going on tonight then. We'll quickly flash up the teams on screen then. These are the drivers that we are expecting to race tonight. There may have been a few last minute changes, and if they have, well, I'm sure that'll all sort itself out once we're in the lobby. So for TTG, it is going to be Elias Steve and Mattia De Campo. You can see ET8 there with Dylan Warren and Sergio Sabrino, so they'll certainly be a team that'll be hoping to put themselves into a really nice performance. For the CRE team, that is going to be next. They're going to be in the Aston Martin, and that is going to be Justin That Racer and Dimitri Minic. For Skyzers Esports, Alex Santana and Ivan Jimenez. For ADRT, Alberto Barras with Vigo Vicuri. We've got Simon Vietar and Yannick Van Es for WOR. Yenes Dovzan and Darksea are going to be for Team Shazoo. They're going to be racing in the Ferrari. The Alpine, making, I believe, one of their first ever appearances in a team competition, is Intrepid Esports. They've got Noel Carmen and Vincent Nyquist. FBR, Nardi Perez, former Challengers driver, one of the more familiar names possibly in this field, alongside Caldo and Golo. And for the XL Racing team, it is going to be J. Cole and RJW Video. So they'll be hoping to put in a good performance just from the teams that are in and what we know about them, and seeing from the driver lineups tonight. Do you think there's any teams that are really standing out as being possible early favourites for this championship?
I'd say ETA and FVR. Both of them have really strong rosters, and ETA obviously have Dylan Warren on loan from Parnell Racing, so yeah, I think those two would probably be the favourites. Shizou and WR obviously both 2 very well established teams as well, so it'll be interesting to see how they get on. And a couple of newer teams, INT, and we'll see how they go on as well. They'll be looking to try and establish themselves as well on the PC platform, so yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah, it should definitely be interesting. Like we said, there is that good mix of teams. You don't always get the results that you expect, and around here, being the fastest might not necessarily, over 1 lap at least, be the best idea. It is Bahrain, of course. Do not be surprised if you see a few people going for that alternate strategy around this track. Could certainly end up being a race to 11th place this qualifying session.
Yeah, for sure. Alternate strategy around most tracks in this game is very, very OP. But yeah, this track for sure is probably the best in the game for starting 11th or 12th, because you have that free tyre choice and you're able to be on the quicker tyre at the end, which can be extremely advantageous.
Yeah, definitely. So I think kind of what we expect on most F1 esports races. Now, at the start might be a bit of slow burner, but at the end of the race, once you've got those on the alternate strategy coming the field, it should be absolutely fantastic indeed. We are just waiting for the final couple of drivers to join the lobby, I believe, and then we'll be able to get ourselves nice and underway at the moment. So shouldn't be too long for that. I think we are just waiting for one of the FVR drivers to pop their way in, and then we'll be able to get ourselves going. We've got a few people saying hello in the chat, a few different team owners as well. Kermit for TTG, George Morgan, of course, for Intrepid Racing. Both of them will be hoping that their teams put in some good performances. And we were talking before, obviously we've got, Intrepid, a brand new team. They'll be hoping to put themselves in with a good performance. With Noel and Vincent, both very young drivers, both drivers that do still have a bit of experience though on this platform.
Yeah, they're relatively young, but they have been racing on PC for a while. Both of them racing MRL Tier 1, so yeah, they've definitely shown their pace before, so yeah, hopefully they'll be bringing home a good result for the new team.
Yeah, they'll certainly be hoping to bring themselves home, like you said, a good result for that new team. Already mentioned briefly is, I know TTG, TTML and EML use slightly different point systems. Here, it is the same as the point system that is used in the actual Formula 1 World Championship, so 25 down to 1 for the top 10 positions, and the fastest lap point if you manage to finish yourself in the top 10. It looks like the drivers are readying up. As we've said, this could be a very intriguing qualifying session between those who fight for the pole position and fight for what is normally the traditional best starting place, and those that go for 11th place. Always that danger, though, if you go for the alternate strategy. If there's an early safety car, it can really ruin your race.
Yeah, that is true. Those in the alternate strategy will be praying that there's no safety cars before their pit range, really, because that would definitely kill their whole strategy and then ruin their race. Because once an early safety car comes out, the front runners can either go into, depending on when it comes out, they could go into a set of hards or a set of mediums and pretty much just go to the end from there and be kind of safe in the alternate strategy.
Yeah, it's an intriguing one to look at. I think that is definitely the case, and it is going to be a very intriguing one. There is actually going to be as well a lobby restart for the race, which is something that we've just had confirmed, so that makes it a bit more interesting because it means maybe a bit less powerful, the alternate strategy at the moment, because everyone in the top 10 will get themselves a fresh choice of tyres, but they will still obviously have to start on the tyres that they have qualified on, so just adds that extra little element. Probably makes it a bit more likely that we'll see drivers pushing for things in qualifying. I doubt we're going to see anyone manage to get into the top 10 on a set of mediums. If they do, they're going to look absolutely fantastic for this race.
Yeah, 100%. I think that will probably give a sigh of relief to those who were hoping to go for pole and then worried about the alternate strategy, because obviously they'll start on fresh softs now. So yeah, whilst it doesn't ensure they'll be safe in the alternate strategy, it does just give them that little bit more of a chance.
Just checking here, because we've heard someone say it might actually be free tyre choice. So we'll get that confirmed for you, because if it is free tyre choice, of course, then that changes everything. That makes it a lot more interesting for the drivers as well. It means we could see a lot of drivers, I reckon, starting on that set of the medium tyre. So that's going to be one we'll have to look for later on to see if we are going to get that free tyre choice.
Yeah, I think it has been confirmed. There is free tyre choice, so that opens up things a lot more. I think we'll probably see the majority of the drivers go for what is traditionally the alternate strategy, but of course if it's free tyre choice it probably won't be. I guess every strategy is the alternate strategy then.
Yeah, certainly. It's definitely adds that extra bit of element for everyone. But enough of that. Here we go, people. Here we go. Heading our way into the lobby, and a few drivers already heading their way out onto the track. Ivan Jimenez just leading them away, doing a lap on the mediums. I don't think we'll see, again, anyone really set too much of a competitive time on the mediums. This is something we see more often, obviously, on PC. Drivers just doing laps on the mediums, even doing laps on the intermediate tyres, as Yannick looks to be doing at the moment. Generally see that more in a full-on qualifying session, just to try and make sure that everything is working nice with the setup, everything is working nice with the game. Bahrain always looks good under the lights. We think tyre wear is bad around here now. Imagine how bad it would be if this was still a daytime race.
Yeah, the temperatures would be sky high. They already are quite high even in the night. Overheating is a problem around here. Maybe not as much as tracks as like Zandvoort, etc. But yeah, drivers will be looking to try and keep their tyres under control, and it's quite a tricky lap to hook up. It's not the easiest. 72% of it is full throttle, but the sections that do require quite a lot of skill, technical sections like the downhill left hairpin, locking up is a huge issue in there. So yeah, drivers will have to be at their best to put in a good time.
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers are going to have to be on the ball here. It definitely, that middle sector can prove to be really awkward indeed. So let's go on the board then. On a lap time with Dmitry Milic as he's heading towards the start finish straight for the Consistent Racing team then on his way down this 1 kilometre long straight towards turn number 1. Heavy braking zone, 200 miles per hour, about 320 kilometres before you hit the brakes there. Stayed in 4th gear, quite a high gear there through, and just gets a bit of a twitch on the car, just gets an invalidation. So we'll see what Dylan Warren can do for ETA. He's on the soft tyre, so this could be our first real representative lap time on this session if he keeps it nice and clean. Down to 3rd gear for that corner. A much more traditional gear to be in. Again, finding it quite hard to get any traction over the curb as he makes his way through turns 2 and 3 along the second DRS straight and towards turn number 4, braking on that curb there, swinging your way round into this corner. That's where the outer and the endurance layout splits off, but we are going to stick down this hill through this S section of 5, 6 and 7 into that hairpin at turn number 8. Don't be surprised, especially on the first lap, if we see a few drivers go for a bit of a dive bomb into that corner. 9 and 10, a really difficult corner for these drivers to make sure that they're getting the braking right, especially as it says no assists for the majority. In fact, I think it might have possibly been no assists for everyone. DRS open again, third DRS straight on this track. Down into turn number 11, then a left-hander, very tricky to get that one right. Swinging your way through turn number 12, then watch out for that curb on the right. It can easily send over drivers spinning around as you come through turn number 13 onto this back straight. Again, that car looking a bit slidey on the rear of the McLaren of Dylan Warren at the moment. You might have seen the humorous ET8 announcement tweet with the crop tops of Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris. I somehow doubt Dylan and Sergio are wearing any crop tops tonight. Through 14 and 15, then nice and straightforward. Dylan Warren, 125.926. There's definitely a bit more pace to come, I think, as the track evolution comes to play, gets a bit more grip out there. A clean lap, he'll still be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, good banker. No huge mistakes in that lap, so yeah, nice to get a lap on the board, have a good delta, and yeah, for sure as the session goes on, times will get quicker as we see his teammate just extend. But that lap is invalid. But yeah, a good banker to have. He's got some support in the chat as well from Jordan Ader and Alex Lamote, so yeah.
Yeah, his manager for this event. Alex just supported him in the chat and shows there as well. PS Challengers driver as Justin comes across the line with a 126.2 at the moment. As, Vincent just goes fastest end. We just caught the tail end. Well, we're just about to catch the tail end of that lap. He goes fastest of everyone on a 125.760. Very good lap then from the Intrepid driver. This first one is, Sergey Dovzdan has retired from the session, and it looks like that he's actually in the pit lane. He's retired, so not quite sure what has gone on there.
Yeah, that's a strange one. One of the Shizuru drivers already. That pretty much secures him starting at the back, so it's going to be a long race for him, having to work through the field, but I'm sure he'll be up for the challenge. But
yeah, definitely. It is going to be interesting. Shizuru actually, just double checking the reason for that, they do actually have a qualifying ban, so they're going to be starting 18th and 19th. I believe at the moment. I think Nardi Perez not making it in the lobby in time. It'll be intriguing to see how that all works out. But everyone does get that free choice of tyre. So Shizou with that qualifying ban starting down at the back of the order. Another team we're expecting to be towards the front of the order, though, is going to be FVR. They've only got Codon N'Golo driving in that Alpha Tauri for them at the moment. The Spaniard making his way into turn number 12. As we've already said, that's a corner, especially later on in the race when your tyres start getting a bit worn. If you hit that curb, you can easily send yourself spinning off and possibly even retiring and catching that barrier on the inside. So it's definitely going to be a corner to watch in this race where there could be a few mistakes made. Codon N'Golo then heading towards the finish line. What's it going to be for the FVR man? Slots himself into third place for now on a 126.001. So, the majority, 9. The field, about half has done their first lap at the moment. We've got a pretty even split between the softs and the mediums. And it is Intrepid, fastest driver on the soft tyres with Vincent Nyquist. Fastest driver on the medium tyres as well with Noel Carlman. So they'll be happy with how things are going at the moment. Dylan Warman in second, Codon N'Golo in third. Justin and RJW videos are rounding out the top 5. I've seen RJW in a couple of leagues on PC and PS. He's not the quickest, but he's definitely consistent. So if there's any late safety cars, and every single race I have commentated on around this circuit on F1 2021 has had a safety car in the last 5 laps. So if you keep it clean on penalties, you could be in a really good place. As Elias Steve heads towards the line, 127.188. Not really the most representative of lap times. Alex Santana looks like he's run off circuit on his first run as well. But Intrepid, they'll be really impressed with how their drivers are doing at the moment. First and 9th. It looks like Noel's going to have some decent pace as well when he goes onto the softs.
yeah, great start for the team. I'm sure they'll be very pleased with that. Now that it's just time to build on that, Vincent's got a great banker in now, and I'm sure he'll probably be hoping that there's time in that lap. So yeah, good start to qualifying for them. I believe Nardi Perez has joined, so FPR have got their second driver in now. So we have got a full grid now. So yeah, hopefully interested to see how he does as well. Obviously, ex-Challengers driver. So yeah, I'm sure his pace will be very strong as well.
Yeah, I'm sure, like, you know, a lot of these other drivers raced in many leagues on the console before making that transition over to the PC and has had decent amounts of success on both of them. I know, doing quite well in a few PC leagues and, as Ayab just mentioned there, making his way into challenges on the PS. Dimitri just heading around this final sector at the moment then. A pretty straightforward final sector. This final corners you've got to get right. 14, it's all about the apex there. Just getting onto the throttle as early as possible. For turn number 15, Dimitri heads across the line. It is going to be 7th place for him. Slots in just behind his teammates in terms of position. Quite a long way behind in terms of time as Alex Santana comes into a 1:26.825. Being a free tyre choice, he won't be too bothered that he's done 2 laps on those soft tyres. And that is something that we've seen more and more on this game. It's not something that we saw on previous F1 games, but quite a lot of the time now. Drivers tend to fuel the car for multiple laps, knowing that if they make a mistake on their first one, they've got a chance to get a second running.
Yeah, it does seem like probably the free tyre choice influences that quite a bit as well. People are willing to do more than one lap on their tyres as they don't have to worry about it. It won't affect them in the race. So yeah, we might see quite a few drivers do that both in softs and mediums, try and get multiple laps in, because it is, whilst you're on the limit, it is quite tricky to, you can mess up a lap quite easily. So having the option to do 2 laps can be quite helpful and quite useful.
Yeah, definitely can, especially if you get it done early enough so you've got plenty of ERS. Yannick was on a lap there, and I think he's maybe just trying to save a bit of fuel and head towards the line. It looks as though we're not going to see any fast lap from him this time. Had a massive slide coming through turn number 13, so I think straight away any chance he got of setting a good time was done. Dylan Woman's invalidated early on his second one, so we're not really seeing anyone flashing up the time boards at the moment and setting brilliant times. Let's see what Alberto Barros can do then in the Alfa Romeo for the Addictos Racing team. And he's got a bit of, well, I'm not sure this is the ideal place to start. I was going to say he's got some traffic in front of him with Sergio Sabrino, but Sergio is on a hot lap as well. He'll be gaining plenty of time on the run down towards turn number 1 and here on the run down towards turn number 4. But you will not want to be this close to the car in front as you come through this S section. Not an ideal place for Alberto to be.
Yeah, for sure. He's probably just started his lap a little bit too close to the McLaren ahead, and it's definitely not going to benefit him through the twisting tight sections. I think he ran just a bit wide there as well, so yeah, unlucky. Perhaps just maybe had a car behind him, or if he just misjudged how close he was to the car ahead. But yeah, not ideal when you're on a quali lap.
No, he was about 3.5 tenths up on his personal best into the first sector. Again, getting the slipstream obviously from Sergio would have helped that one out. So we'll see how things are working out through this middle sector for Alberto, then see whether he's lost any of that time. And no, he's well, obviously not a representative time earlier on, but 1.1 seconds up suggests could easily get himself into that gap between Justin and Alex at the moment for 6th and 7th. Maybe even forcing himself ahead of that onto the top 3 rows of the grid. So we'll follow the RT man around the final couple of corners, and Alberto Barros comes across the line. Good enough for 8th place in the end, 1:26.291, just 3 thousandths of a second behind Justin. And in fact, Ivan Jimenez is just 11 thousandths ahead of Justin as well. So it's incredibly close. Sergio Sabrino shuts himself up into 3rd, so things looking good for ET8 at the moment. I think another team that people would expect to see towards the top of the order as well is WOR with Yannick Van Es and Simon Viertar driving for those at the moment. Simon heading down this DRS straight, incredibly powerful around this circuit, and that could play a big part in the race as well. If you lose DRS in the early stages, you're probably going to lose half a lap to everyone else, and you're going to have a severe job closing that up through the rest of the lap.
Yeah, for sure. Those first 3 laps of the race are always crucial, trying to remain in DRS, especially if you're in a different tyre compound. You really have to push yourself and push the limit to try and stay in DRS, because that can make or break your race. As Dylan Warren goes fastest with 25.6.
Yeah, great lap by Dylan Warren then to go fastest, but Simon Viertar, 1/4 of a second faster in league racing terms. That's a massive gap.
Yeah, that's a really good lap from Simon. 25.392. He's setting the marker down. First lap, I believe it was for him. So yeah, shows the confidence he has. yeah, WR will be quite chuffed with that. They'll just be hoping Yannick can also put in a good time on the softs now. So.
Yeah, yet to see what he can do on a set of the soft tyres. TTG in 6th and 14th for the moment. Matteo De Campo just making his way around turn number 4. We'll see whether this is an improvement for him. It is. We'll see what his teammate is doing. He's invalidated his lap. So Elias Steve won't be able to find any times on the moment. And with that free tyre choice, it is going to be a lot tougher for these drivers. It's really all about just going as fast as possible in this qualifying session. Matteo De Campo then turns 9 and 10. I'd argue, for anyone who uses no assists, turn 9 and 10, possibly one of the most awkward corners on the game.
Oh yeah, for sure. Braking and turning is just very tricky, trying to nail your braking point, because there's no obvious reference point, so a lot of people kind of just go by feeling, which can often be quite tricky when you're on the limit. And then if you mess up, obviously your results in a lockup are just completely messing up the corner, which can result in a lot of lost time. The guys in the chat, Milk was on point, prediction of a 25.3 incoming, and Alex showing his support for ET8. And
Okay.
yeah, Bjorn was spot on this 0.3 banker, which is very impressive from Simon. So we'll see if he can even improve on that, and yeah, for sure cement his hunt for pole.
Yeah, should definitely have time to get one more lap in. We've got one of the CRV car. Well, we've got one of the FER cars heading towards the finish line. That is going to be Kodon N'Golo diving his way towards the pits. Quite quiet out on track at the moment. We have got a few drivers out there on their hot laps. One of them is Dmitry Minich, currently 7/10 of a second up. That would get him in and around that top 10, so might just even join his teammate on what is currently the 5th row of the grid. So we'll see what Dmitry can do as he heads towards the finish line, stays towards the left-hand side, and finds quite a bit more time in that final sector. 126.044 for the consistent racing man. He goes into 7th. So both of those drivers into the top 10 as things stand. They'll be happy with how things are going. Nardi Perez just invalidated, obviously joining late. The only driver yet to set a time. And unsurprisingly, after invalidating, he is going to dive his way into the pits. Does not want to waste any time whatsoever. Simon Vietal with that quarter of a second gap, though, over the rest of the field at the moment. That could take some beating at the moment. Dylan Woman in second, Matteo De Campo, Kodon N'Golo, and Nyquist, your top 5 drivers. And that's what we love to see here. 5 different teams in that top 5.
Yeah, it just shows how close all the teams are now, the drivers are. But yeah, that puts a lot of pressure on Nardi Perez with no banker and no time until the final run. So yeah, he'll be looking probably just to get a lap in and try and get himself in amongst the top guys. But I'm sure he's not expecting a pole position now, because it's extremely difficult to be doing a top time with no delta. But it can be done, as we saw Simon. I'm pretty sure he done that lap. Yeah, it was his banker, so it can be done as Vincent starts his probably final run.
Yeah, it's going to be the final one then for Vincent, so let's see what he can do towards the end of this session. Going out a bit earlier than everyone else. Time coming through Sector 1 at the moment. 73 thousandths of a second up, so good part of the lap. Nice and committed. Coming through 5, 6 and 7 into the hairpin at turn number 8. Simon Vietar just ahead, making sure he gets well off the racing line. Do not want to get yourself in any trouble for track limit penalties. Coming into that 9 and 10 corner, then no sign of a lockup whatever for Nyquist. This is looking like, again, a pretty good lap. Doesn't need to find too much to get himself onto the front row of the grid. He's just over a 10th of a second behind Dylan Warren at the moment. It's going to need to be a mighty final couple of sectors, though, if he wants to beat Simon Vietar. We'll see his Sector 2 time at the moment. He's lost a bit, in fact. Now only 49 thousandths of a second up. He's going to have to nail the final couple of corners. Just getting a bit of help off his teammate there, Noel. I'm surprised Noel didn't move onto the racing line to try and avoid Vincent having to weave over to the right-hand side. Not sure how much he's gained through that. On the curb, getting a bit wild out the final corner. What's it going to be? Did improve in time. 5 thousandths of a second, though. Not enough to make him change position, and not what he would have expected after what was a pretty good first sector.
Yeah, he would have been hoping for more after the start of the lap. Yeah, not the greatest of last sectors in the middle as well. He kind of lost a little bit, but yeah, on the edge of a top 5 right now. But I'm sure cars behind will be aiming to improve as the track is at its peak now. So yeah, we'll be looking out for improvements for sure now.
Yeah, two drivers that will be looking to improve. The XL Racing drivers, J. Cole and RJW Videos, both further down towards the back at the moment. This is the first real representative lap time I think we're going to get from J. Cole. It was an improvement. Can he move himself up the grid? Yes, he does. Only one place, though, at the expense of Yanni Akin, his teammate. I think he must have been validated on that one, did RJW, or gone slower. No improvement at all. So, looks like XL are going to find things tough at the moment, starting in 14th and 15th. Dylan Warren, I think this is going to be his proper lap. He's going for that 2-lap tactic, as the checkered flag is out in this session. Who have we got heading towards the finish line at the moment? We've got Ivan Jimenez has put himself up into 7th place, so a pretty decent lap from him. Noel Carlman for Intrepid. He's improving by about 0.3 of a second at the moment, so could get himself involved with his teammate, maybe 6th and 7th. Who knows, might be able to shove himself into the top 5. We've had Dylan Warman's finished. He's going to be 2nd place. Sabrino shot himself up. Noel Carman goes into 2nd. And Simon Viatar decides that first time wasn't good enough. 125.2. He's nearly half a second clear of the field.
Insane from Simon, yeah. He's 14th clear. And I think Dylan just missed out. I don't know if he was wanting to sit in on the time, but I think he just missed out on the time. I think he got there like a second or two just before the flag was dropped. So yeah, don't know if they messed up the timings with that or if that was just the way it played out.
Yeah, very easy to know. Alex Santana's just stuck himself into the top 10 for now. Quickly beaten by Alberto Barros then, who goes into 10th place. Who else have we got coming towards the end of his lap? Nardi Perez yet to set a time. Can he move himself up off the foot of the order? His teammate's in 2nd place at the moment, and this is looking like a pretty good lap from Nardi Perez. Comes across the line, good enough to get him into the top 10 in 7th place. We've got Mateo De Campo. He heads towards the line, goes up into 2nd place. Is Sergio Sabrino improving? No, he is not. So I think that is pretty much it then for that session. And it's Simon Viatar who is going to be on pole position. Mateo De Campo in 2nd place. Very, very interesting qualifying.
Yeah, I think probably a little bit unexpected from Mateo, but other than that, I think it was kind of the top lads who we expected to be near the front. Perhaps maybe Dylan Warren maybe not getting as great a final run as maybe we were expecting, but yeah, Simon I felt like he was quite clear the whole qualifying session. His banker was well clear of the rest of the field, and his final run is pretty much the same as well. So yeah, very impressive from the WR man. We'll see if it carries into his race pace as well.
Yeah, we'll have to see as well. Mateo's done a great job there, putting himself up towards 2nd place at the end of that session, right at the death. You can see the rest of the qualifying order as well. Kodor, Dylan, Sergio, Vincent, Nardi, Noel, Ivan and Dimitri are top 10. And those are the rest of the drivers, of course. Shazoo with that qualifying ban, enjoying themselves, playing a Clash of Clans there. Not really practicing too hard for the race. Maybe thinking that there is such a thing as too much practice. That is it for qualifying. We are now going to have that lobby reset that was mentioned, of course, to make sure that we avoid any glitches that can sometimes happen here. We've unfortunately seen it a few times on the F1 game, but yeah, it's going to be an intriguing race, I think. Viatar's qualifying pace looks to be fantastic. I've seen this in other leagues with him, where his qualifying is brilliant and his racing can sometimes just let him down a tiny bit.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see how many drivers prioritise quali over race pace, because we know a lot of people love to do quali practice, but then when it comes to race, they're a little bit out of touch, whether it's due to setup or whether it's just down to a heavy car in there and they can't quite find their feet at the start of the race. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who can make good starts and what drivers go for what tyres. Of course, with free tyre choice, someone might try and do something a little bit different, although I do see pretty much the whole grid probably going for mediums. As yeah, the soft tyres at the start can always be tough, and you always want to be at a faster compound at the end of the race. So yeah, it'll be intriguing to see what everyone chooses and how people get on at the start of the race.
Yeah, I think we'll see the majority of the field on mediums. Who knows? We might get someone on a set of the soft tyres. Do you think anyone will be really brave and go for a set of the hards, though? Going for a very long stop, maybe gambling on that late safety car?
I was thinking maybe one or two drivers will go for hards, but you're kind of placing a lot of trust in either having really good pace in the hards or hoping for a late safety car. So it's probably, I don't know if anyone will take the risk, because obviously if you do drop out DRS due to being on such a hard compound, where your race is you've made your race very tough for yourself. But no, you might see one or two drivers do it, but I'd be surprised. I'd kind of expect the majority to go for mediums, as probably just the easier and the better race compound.
Yeah, it's I think the one most drivers would go for. On previous games, you might have seen a bit more of the drivers going for sets of the hard tyres, but on this one, it's not really something that you see quite as much. Most of the teams really putting in fairly decent performances. They're getting at least one driver up or near towards that top 10, so it looks like it is going to be close. Excel, a bit further down the order though, both of those drivers outside of the top 10, so they're going to have some work to do. And of course, Shazoo, with that qualifying ban for the late submission, down in 19th and 20th, they'll just be grateful for any points in this race. It's probably going to be a very long day for Yerne and Darksea.
Yeah, for sure. They've got a big task ahead of them, trying to make their way through a field in which obviously tyre choice isn't even going to have an impact. So yeah, perhaps in a normal league race where the top 10 do start on softs, you'd maybe have a bit of a greater chance of making it through the field. But yeah, for sure. I mean, Yerne, I've raced with Yerne. I'm both Darksea before, and they're both very fast drivers. So for sure, they will be aiming to get points. But yeah, they're gonna have a big task ahead of them. A lot of overtaking to do, and perhaps trying to do something a little bit different with strategy to try and get some sort of an advantage on the others.
Yeah, I think that's what they'll. I think that's what they'll be hoping for. Just trying to hope something different. Who knows? An early safety car could benefit them. Could be one of those teams that end up, doing something different. All the drivers are now in the lobby, which is a good thing. So again, means it shouldn't be too long before we are able to get underway. They will just be setting that custom grid. The weather, I think we were expecting it, obviously, to be fully dry in this race. Bahrain is now probably the only track I've never seen wet weather on this game. I've seen it on Abu Dhabi once. I've seen it in Saudi Arabia once. Bahrain, yet to see it. The only rain in Bahrain, as everyone says, is in the name. Looking forward to future weeks, though. Don't be surprised if we get plenty of rain at Belgium in a week's time. That is certainly another track that can cause all sorts of issues. Talked plenty about strategy. It will be a straightforward one stop. We are expecting plenty of DRS trains. So we said, could we see anyone maybe coming to the pits extremely early off a set of softs and either go to the hards or try a really long stint, something 22, 23 laps perhaps, on a set of mediums?
Yeah, the undercut is extremely powerful, especially at tracks like this. It's just whether you're willing to risk that tyre wear, because if you pit early and you go into mediums, then there's always a risk of a puncture, which has been seen before at this track. So but yeah, I don't know if many people go for hards, because obviously the pace difference between the mediums as well, that'll play a huge impact. But some people might have worked out different strategies prior to the race, and they might have something, and they might feel confident in doing something different. So yeah, you never know. Certain teams might have done a lot more work than others and have something planned. Yeah,
it's always intriguing to see how the teams have been working together. Now, another idiosyncrasy of the lobby changes, of course. Drivers now, if they want to, they might have gone for a bit more of a qualifying heavy setup and can change it for a race setup. They don't have to have any setup compromises at the moment. Obviously, you're not too bothered about what your tyre wear is going to be like in the qualifying session. Whether it's around Bahrain, you're always going to be bothered about what your tyre wear is going to be like in the race. And it is going to be, reminder, that free choice of tyre. So expect to see plenty of the yellow walled Pirellis going around, similar to what we're getting, of course, in real life on F1, and similar to what I imagine every league will be doing on F1 22. We've seen a bit of footage coming out from that game at the moment. Looks like the new cars might be a bit of a handful.
Yeah, for sure. The early footage from the game, it does seem like the new cars will be something quite different to the past few games. I think it will take a little bit getting used to for a lot of drivers. It'll be interesting to see if we see any kind of smaller drivers from this game progress onto the next game and become challengers, prospects, etc.
Yeah, it could be quite a big change. I know I think it was between 2019 when there was a slightly handling changes. We saw the F1 Esports field mix up a bit, and it went from being, as it was at that time, we were seeing Brendan Lee more towards the top of Esports. Yeah. We saw it change to a Tanixa, and then obviously Jarno Otmir with Brendan Lee trying to work his way up. So this is going to be it's going to be intriguing. I think definitely going to be an interesting thing to see on next game, how things are going to handle with that new car, how the supercars are going to handle as well. But I'm not sure if anyone is too interested on that one. And the new circuit, Miami, again from the gameplay footage, what we've seen and what we've seen in real life as well, looks like it could be a very difficult circuit. That final sector, wouldn't be surprised if we see a few red flags in qualifying and in the race.
Yeah, the last sector does seem like a handful. Yeah, a lot of drivers struggling with tight, twisty sections, the chicane, etc. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they get on in real life and next year in the game as well. Um, how how much risk people will be willing to take. Obviously, in esports and then sims, obviously you're not risking your body, etc. As like the real drivers are, but yeah, you're also risking sim damage, I guess.
Yeah, there is always that risk. You're also risking a bit of your pride as well if
Yeah.
everyone sees you making a bit of a silly mistake. Max Verstappen coming very close to the wall in practice, well held from him, and we've seen Bottas, Sainz, Ocon pretty much had a crash and a red flag in every practice session so far. We aren't too far away from this race getting underway. Can Simon Vietar hold on that pace advantage that he had in qualifying and carry it over to the race? If he can, he could just escape away from the rest of the field, and it might well be everyone else fighting over second.
Yeah, for sure. If he shows any of that kind of pace that he did show in qualifying, and breaking DRS here would be a huge advantage, because you can just set your own pace there, and the field behind will start battling slowly, and they'll try and work their way back into lead. And yeah, that can always favour the leader with more battling. More loss of time, and the leader can kind of just escape. As we've seen, like we saw in esports in Portimao, Lucas Blakely was able to break DRS, and he just kind of drove his own race. He had that much of a pace advantage where he was just able to clear the field and kind of just have an easy race. You don't come under pressure from anyone. You kind of stay from an undercut and overcut, and you can just run your own race and don't have to feel like super under pressure or anything.
Yeah, certainly. It's always nice to have that little bit of a buffer to everyone else, knowing that you can maybe afford to save the tyres a bit more. If you've gone for an earlier pit stop, again, whether anyone else will go for that. Earlier pit stops around here, especially if you are in the DRS train that we've mentioned, it's going to be crucial that you can get the overtakes done. Third car in the DRS train, as I'm sure we're all aware, is always the one that finds it extremely difficult to really get any moves done. So that could be one that we're all going to have to keep an eye out for in this race at the moment around the Bahrain International Circuit. First used in 2004, we've had 3 different layouts: the one-off endurance layout, which was not that exciting, and the one-off outer layout, which was quite a bit more exciting as well. But it is the standard one, 15 corners and 3 DRS zones for all the drivers to negotiate around here, as we wait and see what tyres everyone has gone for. And I don't think there's any real surprise to see that almost everyone is on a set of the mediums. The only one who has gone for something different is J. Cole, who has... maybe he's just gone away from the game at the moment because he's been disqualified from the session.
Yeah. I was surprised by the Red Bull Mateo in P2. He's trying something different.
Also,
I was surprised because when you're at the front, you try to just kind of follow the trend. You kind of follow what people are doing. But I don't know. Perhaps he has that much faith in his pace that he could perhaps break DRS from the guys at front, and then run his own race when he goes on to the mediums in the second stint. But I don't know, it is a tricky one. In Bahrain, medium soft does tend to be like the best strategy, so unless Mattia has something planned, or he's maybe assuming that there'll be an early safety car, I don't know, he's kind of, you generally say the odds are against him, but you never know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think when we talked about drivers maybe having to escape away in this race, he's got to be the one. He's got to just go for it in the first couple of laps. Yes, he'll burn out the tyres, but he needs to break that DRS window. If Simon, if Kodor, if Dylan, whoever else is in that second place at the moment, if Matea's not in the lead and he's not escaped away from everyone else, he is going to find this quite difficult, I think, in this race to really shoot himself up the order. So, could be an interesting one to see what the Red Bull driver does. He's getting ready to his grid slot at the moment. We've unfortunately got a few reports of drivers desyncing over the place. Fingers crossed that won't cause any issues and it is just maybe a few bugs on the formation lap. But Simon Vietar with the view everyone wants, and Matteo De Campo alongside him. A long run down towards turn 1 might have the opportunity to take the lead.
Yeah, with that softer comp in the tyre, we'll see how we can get off the line.
Yeah, we will see how we can get off the line, as I think the cars are now just getting themselves into position, all sorting themselves out. We've got 5 lights in Bahrain. They go out and we're underway for the first race of the TTG Invitational, and it looks like a very decent start from Matteo De Campo and Kodon N'Golo as well, doing well from his grid slot in third place. But it is still Simon Viator leading through turn number 1 as Mateo gets the outside line for turn 1, inside for turn number 2. Can't quite get alongside at the moment in time, but he's going to have the slipstream on the run down towards turn number 4 to bring to an end the first sector. Can the Red Bull go all the way around the outside of the Mercedes? We've seen some interesting battles between these two here, of course, in the past, and it looks like Mateo has just got himself ahead. Dylan Warren has now stuck ahead of Kodon N'Golo as well. I think J. Cole, he's had an issue. He's dropped right to the back. Obviously, not going on the formation lap. Maybe a bit colder tyres than everyone else. Not what he would have wanted on that set of soft tyres as Kodor down the inside at turn number 10. Oh, Dylan Warren taking that place back. Getting a bit of wheel spin, though. And these two battling, it's just allowing those front two to get away. It took him a few corners, but Mattia is now in the lead of this race. He's got to try, though, and break that 1 second gap before the end of the next lap.
Yeah, that small amount of battling for P3 has cost him quite a bit of time to the front two. And yeah, it's essential now that Mattia breaks DRS to the Mercedes of Simon. Otherwise, it's going to be a long old race for him, being on a harder competent tyre in the second stint. So yeah, he has to make use of those softs now. It is going to be quite tricky because it's obviously a heavier car at the moment. But yeah, he does have the tyre advantage and he needs to make use of it.
Yeah, definitely does need to make use of that at the moment. Obviously, flat number 1, he has set the fastest lap of this race. Kodor just dropping in behind at the moment. Janiak, Van Es and Noel Carmen battling on their way down towards turn number 1. They're obviously fighting for the lower places at the moment. That could become very important later on in this race. It is now really going to be, I think, an interesting one to see what all the different drivers do on their strategies. Darksy trying to go alongside Elias Steve. It has been a good start to the race for the Shoe drivers. Looks like Vigo and Alex Santana for Skyzers and ADRT both picking up damage on the first lap, so they've had no choice but to go onto a set of the hard tyres. Biggest winner from the first lap we're on board with. In fact, both Shizou drivers have gone up 5 places, and they're now trying to overtake one of the biggest losers from the first lap, and that is Noel Coleman, down 5 on lap number 1. He's going to find things quite difficult indeed. Mattia has nearly got that 1 second gap, and interestingly, Simon has got an over 1 second gap on Dylan Warren.
Dylan, yeah. Simon's done very well actually. He's pushed very hard to just probably stay in Mattia's DRS, although I do think he is going to break it now at the start of lap 3, but he's done enough to keep Dylan out of his DRS, so yeah, the Mercedes done quite a good job. He's pushed he's used a lot of ERS, he's down to 40%, but I think he's probably used it quite wisely, because if he can keep the McLaren out of his DRS, he's made the start of the race a little bit easier for himself.
Yeah, he has indeed. And Mattia, he's used plenty of ERS. He is now 1.1 seconds ahead. He's red light you'll see flashing on that car, clipping on his ERS below 10%. He's going to find things difficult indeed. It looks like Yannick's got a very fast car in a straight line in the second of the WR cars. He's got himself up into 11th, battling with Justin, that racer, at the moment. The CRV man gets a bit of a better run, though, down out of turn number 3. So they're going to be going side by side towards turn number 4, both of them with a DRS. And that just cancels everything out. Almost the entire field is in this train now. We've got from Dylan Warren in second place down to RJW in 17th. Both of the Haas cars, unfortunately, imitated a bit what Haas was like in the 2021 season. Both finding themselves off the back of the field, with XL not finding things too enjoyable at this stage. Dylan, even though he's in third place, he's keeping that gap quite big to Kodon N'Golo. ET8 and FVR, both with their drivers up towards the front, roughly where they would have expected to be. Don't think they'll be too worried about Mattia. Might be worried about the pace that Simon's showing, though.
Yeah, for sure. Mattia's still very low on ERS, so I don't think he'll be as too much of a worry for the other teams right now. But Simon breaking DRS to Dylan was, yeah, quite a big deal. I think he's done quite well for himself, because he's got more ERS than what Dylan as well, so he can to use a little bit if he is worried about Dylan coming back into the DRS range, which he kind of is. He's using all of his ERS, but Simon's still got 20% advantage, so yeah.
Yeah, not doing too bad at the moment. There's another one from Janiek down the inside into turn number 1. I think Ivan did see that coming and left him plenty of space, but he's got a better exit, has the Mercedes here, than the Williams, and it has just forced, very briefly, that Williams to drop outside of the DRS range. Is he going to be able to make it side by side? They go into turn number 4, and I think Janiek has just got ahead, so that is now both WR drivers into the top 10. He's just been picking the cars off either down the pit straight or into turn number 1 there, has Yannick Van Ness, and it has worked well. So brilliant job from him. Both of the Shizou drivers trying to work their way up as well. Yerne and Darksy just now finding themselves into this train. And it's going to be because of this free tyre rule. Normally we say races are quieter at the start and then they all kick off in the final half. This might be one that kicks off in the final 5 or 6 laps when everyone has got a fresh set of soft tyres, because if you are stuck in this train, there's no point pitting early to do an undercut, because you'll either have to go onto a set of hard tyres or make 2 pit stops. Realistically, we're going to be thinking lap 18, lap 19, if you're brave, for a pit stop to a set of the soft tyres. And if you're J. Cole, stuck at the back on a set of softs off the back of the field, and Alex and Wico both on a set of hards, you're probably already praying for a safety car.
Yeah, for sure. The guys that will be praying for a safety car at this point, because as it stands, they're pretty much out of the race, out of contention. But yeah, as I've seen in the chat, Tom saying, why would anyone race instead of watching quali? I think a lot of people are just racing because they're only missing Q1 of the Miami Grand Prix, so yeah, they're not missing too much of quali. Plus, I think some people do just enjoy sim racing, so yeah.
And it's Q1 at Miami. If there's not a red flag in that session, I will be extremely surprised.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if there's some sort of delay to quali. But yeah, I do kind of get some people's some people also saying I'm not racing due to quali. I guess some people just have so much love for Formula One that they'd rather watch it than race themselves. But each to their own.
Yeah, each to their own. Everyone, of course, free to their opinion. I think there was actually a vote between the driver managers in the chat whether to start the race half an hour earlier. In the end, decided to keep it at the start time of 8 PM BST and 9 PM for the Central European summertime as well. We saw on the previous lap, Kodon N'Golo get ahead of Dylan Warren, so that is Kodon now up into 3rd place. Dovzan has managed to work his way past Carmen, so Shizou passing Intrepid. Yerne Dovzan now into 13th. He's another one, a bit like Yaniak, that has just worked his way through the field, lap after lap after lap, and he's really putting some good moves in at the moment. Kodor, he's trying desperately to get back within that DRS range of Simon Vietar. They've all used big amounts of DRS at the moment. And this is where things could work out well for Kodor and Dylan Warren, as I think we are going to see another overtake here with the McLaren maybe streaming down the inside, or possibly waiting towards turn number 4. But he's got to be careful, because he's got Nardi Perez, and this is always the danger if you don't want to overtake this early on in the race. If you're in a bit of the train, who's to say the car behind you is just going to send one up the inside, and you'll end up losing a place when you had an opportunity to gain a place.
Yeah, always have to be wary in a DRS train that whilst you might be threatening the guy ahead of you, you're also under threat at pretty much all times. And Nardi Perez has been playing a good start to this race. He's saved his battery, unlike the guys ahead. He's got 73% in comparison to the guys ahead. That's much more, as Kodor's on less than 10% and Dylan is just on 20. So yeah, he's at a big advantage with DRS, and he can pretty much make moves when he wants to. Whilst Dylan does have DRS ahead, he has a lot more battery, so he can be willing to use that when he wants to.
Yeah, and these top 6 have now started to break away a bit more. You can just see Dimitri Minic for CRV has dropped just outside of that magic 1 second point. If he can get back within it at the end of the next straight, he would be able to get the DRS. So don't be surprised if he used plenty of his ERS down here. You can just see using it at the early start of the straight when it makes a bit more of a difference, when you're more power limited and traction limited, rather than the drag limited that you get towards the end of the straight. And he has got within that 1 second, so should be safe from Vincent, Nikris, Barros and Van Ness as well. We've got a yellow flag, and that is J. Cole. We said turn number 13 can be a tricky one, and it was definitely unlucky for J. Cole there. He's gone off, not having a fun race whatsoever. Those soft tyres will be overheating like crazy. And the other driver on the soft tyres, I think proving that he's starting to run out of grip. First time penalty of the race then goes to Matteo De Campo.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for him leading the race, and but he'd say in a decent position. He had broke DRS, which looks like he might just have let Simon back in. But yeah, he had broke DRS, and he was looking relatively alright for the start of the race. But clearly, he was pushing so hard in the sauce. He'd picked up 2 1s, and then he just picks up his 3rd. And unfortunately, that's a 3-second time penalty for the Red Bull. Makes his race even more tough now. Not only going to be on a harder comp in the second stint, but he's also going to have to try and pull 3 seconds to the person behind him if he wants to finish in that position, which is quite difficult at any track that has DRS chains because obviously everyone's so close together. So any sort of penalty can be really detrimental to your finishing position. But yeah, he's let Simon back into his DRS. Probably those softs fading and perhaps like a little bit of frustration creeping in now due to the time penalty. But yeah, this is looking really good for Simon and Mercedes. Comfortably broke DRS to guys behind, and he's back in DRS with the leader. So yeah, he's sitting quite pretty right now. So yeah, I'm sure the WR man will be quite happy, and his teammates worked his way into the top 10 as well. So yeah, good start to the race for the two WR guys.
Yeah, definitely a good start to the race. Previous lap, Dylan Warren got back ahead of Codon and Golo, and these two are now nearly 2 seconds off the lead of the race. Yerne's working his way up the field again. He's up into 11th. We saw Van Ness and Alberto Barros have a battle that ended up in a bit of contact as Kodor, knowing that he's got his teammate behind him, knows he's not going to bother sending one into turn number 4, and that's another danger if you're in the DRS trade. If you go for a move that doesn't quite work off, yes, you'll lose some time. You could easily lose 1, 2, possibly even 3 places when things are this close at the moment, as I'm beginning to wonder whether TTG were practicing on regular track limits, as now both of their drivers have picked up a time penalty as Darksy there on the inside of Jimenez at turn number 8. That's a bit of a dive bomb from him, and this might give Elias a bit of an opportunity to get involved in this as well. 14th, 15th and 16th battling extremely hard at the moment. Darksy just has to give in for now. Wouldn't surprise me, but only, maybe not this lap, but maybe next lap, I think we'll be seeing Mattia coming to the pits then, especially if Simon gets ahead and just starts pulling away.
Yeah, Simon is 20% plus and Matteo's on 3, so I can see Simon getting past fairly soon, if not maybe on the main straight this lap. So yeah, I'm assuming Matteo is probably going to come into the pits relatively soon.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you. Conan and Golo's lost it coming out the final corner. He's had a spin there, not sure whether that was assisted or whether he's just got it wrong completely on his own, but coming out of turn number 14 and 15, Conan and Golo spins round. He was battling for 3rd place as Simon Viatar and Mattia are battling for the lead there. And now Codon N'Golo is down in 13th, and there goes Simon Viatar, takes the lead of this race.
That's a grave shame for FVR and for Coder. He was in a really good position, fighting at the front. Definitely on for at least fighting for a podium. And whatever happened to him, it's resulted in a spin, and he's lost a lot of places and a lot of time. So yeah, a lot of work to do for him now to try and come back from that. But yeah, with everyone being on the same competent tyres and perhaps him also having probably a little bit overheating there and a little bit extra wear, it's gonna make his race a lot harder. As Darksy, he's pit for hards and he's sped into the pits as well, so he's got a 5-second time penalty. So yeah, that's made his race also very difficult. And interesting to see someone going on to the hards. Perhaps Shizou have done a little bit of race practice on that, or if they just feel that they're kind of stuck in a DRS chain, they need to do something different, which probably is what a lot of people are feeling like. Probably why Mattia went for softs, to try and get out the DRS chain and try and do something a little bit different to the rest, but unfortunately it's not really worked out for him, as yeah, Simon leads and he's got a 3-second time penalty. As the ADRT car wiggle, I think that's him out, yeah. I don't know where he's retired on track, but
looks like he's just retired in the pit lane there, Hasbigo, so it shouldn't cause too many problems. So his AI car is going to come out onto track, and that can always be a bit of a dangerous thing to see. Bad luck for FVR as well, because we saw Sergio Sabrino get ahead of Nardi Perez, so both ET8 drivers are now up into the top 4. And I agree with you with Darksy. I think Shizou have just thought, you know what, let's try something different, let's roll the dice. It was looking very unlikely we were going to get any points with Darksy, with him being stuck in that train. If this doesn't work out, hell, we're still not getting any points, but at least we've done something different. At least we can maybe work things out. This has got to be the lap Mattia's going to come into the pits, because he's not going to be within DRS range soon. And I think that will certainly be the catalyst for the Red Bull driver to make his way in. You can see he's just dropped to now outside a second of BSR. Dylan Warren now almost within that 1-second gap, as Simon a bit deep into turn number 10. If you do lift off the throttle out of turn number 10, even though you run wide, you will probably get away without any warnings. But if you do it repeatedly and it is caught that you're doing repeatedly, it might be something that the stewards will think about having a look at. It could be seen as just taking the mickey a tiny bit. Mattia's soft tyres are absolutely gone, especially at the start of the race. You can see that sort of graining on the front right now. Full fuel load, lasting 10 laps on the soft tyres was always going to be a bit of a tough ask. And on this lap alone, he's already lost about a second to Simon ahead. Surely Surely Mattia, we're going to see dive over to the right-hand side of the track. And there he goes. Yep. First of the leaders to come into the pits is Mattia de Campo. This will be for a set of mediums, and he should come out in plenty of free air, which means Simon Viatar now has a 2-second lead.
Yeah, perfect scenario for the WR man. He put in a good first 10 laps. He was able to stick relatively close to Mattia, and it's done him well, pretty much. He's clear the rest of the field by 7/10, which in league racing is quite a bit. So yeah, Brennan just needs to be consistent now. Make sure he doesn't make any huge mistakes. Can maybe perhaps harvest a little bit ERS. And yeah, take care of his tyres until gets his pit window. As 2 ET8 cars, I don't think they have enough pace or enough ERS to get back into his DRS. So yeah, unless they start working together, perhaps it's going to be a tough ask for them to try and catch back up to him.
Yeah, they are going to struggle, I think, at the moment. Dylan, probably knowing he's got a bit of a protection from his teammate, is it worth slowing down a bit, trying to save a bit of ERS, knowing that Sergio's going to help you out, and Sergio will be protected by having the DRS? Or do you go for things a bit more? Do you push at this point in the race on medium tyres that, yes, they've still got definitely, another 7 or 8 laps left in them at least, but they are going to be feeling pretty second-hand roundabout now. You've pushed really hard, and we've seen from Codon and Golo just how easy it is to make a mistake. Sergio there not getting the best exit out of turn number 13, so this might just give Nardi Perez a half opportunity with all his ERS down towards the first corner. You can already see Sergio there starting that red light flashing on his ERS. No sign that Perez is interested in going for the move at this point in the race. So we'll see what the gap is at the end of this lap between Simon and Mattia. That will be something to keep an eye on, because that is obviously what Simon is going to have to try and recover with when he comes out of the pits. With the lead that Simon's got, 2.1 seconds, he might be able to afford just waiting to see when the other drivers come into the pits, and possibly even just come in the lap after. Yes, that'd make things really tight, but the 1 lap extra fresh soft tyres could really make a huge difference for him.
Yeah, he can afford to be a little bit more reactive as he has the gap, so he doesn't need to risk doing an undercut because he doesn't really have any positions to gain. So yeah, he's put himself in a very good position for the rest of the race, and we can kind of just manage his race from here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a nice situation to be, I suppose, when you can manage your race. Of course, safety cars can always blow that management right out of the window. We've got an interesting battle going on further down the field here. 13th, 14th and 15th between Jimenez Steve and RJW. RJW, the only one of these that's kept it clean on the penalty front at the moment, as those are the drivers that have your penalties. All 3 seconds, apart from Darks' which was for speeding in the pit lane, so he will serve that if, of course, he does make his way into the pits once more in this race. But given the fact that he's on the hard tyres, that's certainly not going to be in his plan at the moment. Another battle that's also starting to brew. Codon and Golo recovering from that earlier mistake up into 12th place, all over the back of Noel Coleman at the moment. And I think soon we could see the FVR man go for a move down towards turn number 1. He's clearly got plenty of pace in that Alpha Tauri. Down the inside he goes. Noel's going to try and fight this one for all it's worth, and fair play to him. He's managed to hold on through turn number 1 and 2.
Yeah, good fighting from the Alpine, defending his position quite strong. Of course, all these guys are fighting for net position. They're all in the stream strategy right now, apart from the guys right at the back who've pit. But yeah, all the guys in pretty much the top 15, yeah, they're all fighting for net position. So as Simon seems to just extend his gap, and he's not seeming to use like all his ERS, so it seems like he does have pace in hand. He's still on 30%, which in comparison to the 2 guys behind, he's fine on ERS. Nardi Perez seems like he's quite content with just sitting in 4th place, conserving his ERS, perhaps waiting near to the pit stops to make any moves, or he's just aware that it's 2 ET8 cars and he knows they can work together. But yeah, it doesn't seem like he's in a rush to make a move, although he is using a little bit of battery now to get close to Sergio, and perhaps this is the lap where he's going to go for the move now.
Yeah, it could be tough. Sergio is very close to the back of Dylan Woven, so he's not only going to get DRS, he's going to get a pretty decent amount of slipstream as well, as Elias Steve unfortunately left the session. That allowed a few drivers to get ahead of him. He has now come back in as, ooh, this is very interesting. Dimitri Minic into the pits at the end of lap number 13. That is a set of soft tyres. They are not going to last 16 laps. This is... I didn't expect a 2-stop strategy tonight.
Yeah, that's a very strange choice from the CRA driver. Yeah, I can't see anything other than a two-stop. Perhaps he's expecting a late safety car, which is, I think you're kind of praying at that point. You're kind of being very hopeful. So unless he is going for a two-stop, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the thinking is behind that. Perhaps it's a mistake. Perhaps it was something in the game, or perhaps he just misclicked selecting the tires. Perhaps he meant to go into a set of hards, but yeah. Otherwise, it's a bit unfortunate if it was due to the game. But if it was a strategy choice, it's certainly one we weren't expecting.
I think it's something we've all done at some point on this or previous F1 games, flicked through the tyres and picked the wrong ones. I've seen drivers go out on sets of intermediates rather than sets of hard tyres just because they've flicked one step too far at the moment. Looking back though from Dylan Warren, second place in this race, his teammate behind him providing a bit of protection from Nardi Perez, who was looking very racy on the exit of turn number 11 there. Looked as though Perez was really trying to scare Sergio Sabrino into a bit of a mistake. He's got that loads more ERS. Jimenez was the other driver who pitted on that lap. He's gone for a much more conventional hard tyre strategy. These fighting for second, and it looks like second is the best they're going to do. This is certainly the closest Perez has been to the back of Sergio Sabrino. Is he close enough, though, to think about this move down towards turn number 1? In fact, it's Dylan Warren almost defending from Perez there. Side by side goes Sabrino and Perez through the first couple of corners. The McLaren man holds on, and can Nardi Perez fight back on the run towards turn number 4? No, he's too far back on this occasion, as Dovzan, he's having a fantastic start to the race. Of course, Shazoo with that qualifying ban, he started down in 19th position. He's got himself up into a bit of 7th, as we've got Coleman and Justin battling there as well. They're getting extremely close. Justin's got off the track and gets himself a 3-second time penalty. And it is Noel Coleman who stays in 9th place then for Intrepid. Things are starting to just get a bit more tasty. I think you can tell we're heading towards that pit stop period.
Yeah, I think people are desperate to try and make some positions prior to the pit stops, as some people might want a little bit better track position, and some people might be doing something different with the strategy as well. Perhaps I'm going for an overcut and undercut. So yeah, all that. Those who were saving ERS will be looking to expand it now, and those who are low on ERS will be trying to regen as much as they can, as the two McLaren cars are trying to work together to try and keep the AlphaTauri behind. But I think it's kind of a losing battle at this point, because Nardi Perez has a lot more ERS, and I feel like it's only a matter of time until he gets past.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan's not done the best job of saving his ERS, but Sergio's got himself up above 50% at the moment. And now 3.3 seconds off the back of Simon Vietor, though, and you see there Nardi this time not going for the lap. I wonder if they'd be better suited here, the McLarens, by just swapping behind, but no. In fact, Sergio decides to stay, lifts off on the straight, decides to stay behind Dylan Warren. I wonder if they swapped and you let Dylan get ERS saved up, get DRS for a couple of laps, things might just work out and they might be able to close up. But as things stand, they're not really able to do much. Unsurprisingly, Dimitri on that very intriguing strategy, if anyone wants to explain the logic of that behind, but other than thinking of a second safety car, then be my guest. But I think barring appearance from the safety car, there's not a lot Dimitri's going to be able to do in this race. The fastest lap might be the best he can get. I am surprised Nardi's not really gone for one on Sergio at the moment. He seems to have a lot more pace than both of the ET8 drivers. But I think obviously the fact there's two drivers in front of him that have got the DRS, and not just one, means he's finding things tough. And let's not write off this man either. Vincent Nyquist at the moment, still in rear top 5. Any of the cars in front of him start getting podiums, could see an Intrepid driver on the podium.
Yeah, for sure. He's just quietly going about his race, just sitting nicely behind Nardi Perez. Got an okay amount of ERS. He's probably having to push a little bit to keep up, as the pace from these guys is probably quite strong. But no, Nardi has been very reserved. He's been quite calm, quite patient with any moves he's tried to pull on the McLarens. Perhaps that patience will be wearing thin towards the end of the race, but no, I think he probably does know that the ET8 cars are working together. Sergio's into the pits. It's quite early, lap 16. So yeah, we'll see what set of tyres he goes on to. I'm assuming it's going to be softs, and it is, yeah. So that will be a long old stint on those softs. So perhaps those who pit later on will have fresher softs, and perhaps that can come into effect. But yeah, he's gone for some sort of an undercut, perhaps to try and break DRS from his teammate and Nardi. But yeah, we'll see how he gets on.
Yeah, we'll see how he gets on indeed. Watch out that undercut gap, obviously, to our race leader. 26 seconds coming out of the pit lane. He's going to need to get it to about 22 to have any chance of taking the lead of the race, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that. So, going to be in Going to be one to watch out for as Dimitri Minic. He's working his way up as well, obviously. In fact, he could be the driver that's going to be in the lead of this race when all the pit stops work out. But we know, we're almost certain, he's going to have to make another pit stop, and barring a safety car, it is going to lose him loads of time indeed. We saw Alberto Barros come in as well. He's gone for a set of soft tyres. Codon Ngolo has also gone for a set of softs. Number 2 drivers representing the Spanish teams, ADRT and FVR, are 13th and 14th, but don't write them out for points just yet. As Jake retires from the session. That is in the pits. Are we seeing anyone react to the pit stop from Sergio Sabrino? Simon, unsurprisingly, thinks he's got enough time to hang out one more lap. Dylan Warren into the pits on this lap, and Nardi Perez decides to stay out on circuit there.
Yeah, slightly surprised by that. Nardi staying out. Perhaps he's going to use this ERS that he saved up, or he has pace in his. He has faith in his medium pace. Perhaps he's thinking the 2-lap fresher tyres in comparison to Sergio will be beneficial. He's probably certain that he will lose time, but he's maybe sure that he'll make that time up on the fresher tyres. But yeah, the majority, quite a few drivers now going on to softs. Yanni Dovzin, Yannick, a lot of them going into softs now. So we're interesting to see how many people are going to be desperate to make up some track position now, as there's no pit stops yet left to make. So yeah, Nardi hasn't used as much ERS on this lap than as much as I would have thought. He's on 85% now, so perhaps he's looking to make his positions after the pit stops rather than try and make them up in an overcut, which is probably quite a wise decision, because with the other drivers being quite low on ERS and him coming out the pits with fresher tyres and a higher amount of ERS could play into his advantage quite a bit.
Yeah, it certainly could do. Let's not forget about Matteo De Campo. He's in 6th place. He's just worked his way past RJW videos in the Haas. So TTG man is now up into 6th, with RJW starting to struggle on those medium tyres, because Sergio Sabrino's worked his way up. Sergio, 3 seconds ahead of Dylan Warren. That was the undercut in just one lap. That is how good a fresh set of soft tyres are here against a worn set of medium tyres. And I think recognising that, Simon Vietar has come into the pit. Softs going on to that Mercedes. They looked very second best. Did the mediums on the rear of that car. Where is he going to come out relative to Sabrino and De Campo? They're just making their way around the final corner now. Sergio's going to dose a DRS here to maybe help him out and maybe help him take basically the net lead of this race. There he goes round the outside on the pit straight, and it's going to be close between Simon and Mattia here, and Mattia gets ahead. So Sergio Sabrino, he's now in 4th place. He's got Dimitri ahead of him, who has pitted, of course, but we're expected to pit again. That undercut has worked out brilliantly for the ET8 driver.
Yeah, the undercut has worked wonders for him. Yeah, he's managed to get himself up into pretty much net P1. So yeah, pulling off a good strategy choice there. Just depends on how much care he takes of his tyres now, because obviously with Simon being on much fresher tyres, he'll be looking to reclaim that position. He'll be getting past Mattia very quickly, and then he'll trying to eye up Sergio as well. Sergio's done a relatively good job though as well. He's saved a little bit of ERS, so he's not below 10%.
Yeah, Mattea's not done so bad. Unfortunately, no matter how good you are, he had absolutely no chance of keeping Simon Vietar behind him on the run down towards turn number 11. You saw on the exit of turn 8 and coming through 9 and 10, Simon was almost bumping Mattia, not intentionally, just because he was braking so much later than him. So yeah, that's not worked out bad. And also now, Simon has not got DRS on Sergio, so that's going to be an intriguing one. Dylan Warren is within DRS range of Matteo De Campo. Nardi Perez and Noel Carlman are, well, almost final runners off the medium tyres, because you've still got RJW out there, who is pitting on this lap. So everyone has done their one compulsory pit stop. We think Dimitri's still going to have to come into the pits again. In fact, we're certain he's going to have to come into the pits again. You cannot get a set of soft tyres to last 16 laps around here. They'll be above 100%. You are going to get a puncture doing that. And I think now Sergio is within the DRS range. As there goes Dylan Warren ahead of Matteo De Campo. So Dylan up into 4th place. Looks like ET8 are going to get both of their cars on the podium at the moment. It's just in which position will it be?
Yeah, they're doing a really good job. I think they kind of got their pit stop times on point as well, so that helped them out. Especially Sergio now in essentially net P1, but Simon's done a really good job in getting back into DRS, and he's comfortably within half a second now. So yeah, Simon's raw pace just does seem clear of kind of the rest of the field. He's been able to bridge that 1.1 second gap down to 4 tenths now. So I think he'll be looking to perhaps save a little bit of ERS just behind Sergio, and they'll both try and pass Dimitri relatively soon.
Yeah, I think Dimitri, he's not going to have much chance beyond the end of the end of the next pit straight. I don't think he's not going to have an opportunity. Simon, so much more pace. Coming through turn number 13, he's getting about 2/10 just through that corner alone on Sergio. That was ridiculous grip he had there, and already that could be the difference of 2 laps difference. Soft tyres there straight away. Sergio Sobrino then looking to take the lead on this race on the run down towards the first corner. Is he going to be able to make it? Dylan Warren actually there with the fastest lap of the race. Dimitri defends to the inside line, and that is enough to just put Sergio off. And Simon Vietar is trying to fight with the McLaren driver here. He could be getting in 2 places in the space of 1 corner. We've got a yellow flag. That's one of the Alpines who's had a spin. Sergio, with no ERS, still can't make the move. A superb cutback from Simon Vietar. Bit of contact between the 2 of them, but Simon's got the move done. He's up into second. That is effectively the WR man back into the lead.
Yeah, got a bit scrappy there after the second DRS one. I think probably just they were fighting aggressively for the lead, but thankfully both of them come out alive. And yeah, Simon's reclaimed essentially the lead, and he'll be looking to get past Dimitri and perhaps try and get that DRS gap that he got in the first stint, but it's going to be extremely difficult as he's not got that ERS advantage, and Sergio's trying to come back at him. Simon goes up the inside of Dimitri. I think they're side by side. But yeah, with Simon having the superior tyre advantage, I'm sure it'll be a relatively easy move on Dimitri.
Yeah, they're all just losing each other time at the moment. You can see Dylan Warren's now right on the back of them. You can throw a handkerchief over all of these cars. 7/10 of a second separated the top 4. You've got Mateo a bit further behind. He's going to get, obviously, Vincent Nyquist and himself and Nardi Perez really paying the price for stopping out that 1 extra lap than some of these drivers, 2 or 3 laps more than some of the others. There comes Simon Vietar. There comes Sergio Sobrino. We're going to be 3 wide on the run down towards turn number 1 here, and it's Sergio with the inside line. Takes the lead of this race, but for how long? Simon's trying to hold on there. Again, there's a bit of bumping between them. And now Dylan Warren, he's able to get involved for the ET8 man. He's going to head to Dimitri as well, and Dylan's going to think about this round the outside of turn number 4 on Simon Vietar. Again, there's a bit of touching, and Simon's round. Led the race from the start. The pole position man has spun round, and he is now outside of the points. Big drama on lap number 22, and how that has ended up with is Dylan Warren in the lead, Sergio Sobrino in second, ET8 now with a 1-2. It'll be interesting to see if there's any comeback from that later on.
That's extremely unfortunate. Simon had drove essentially a perfect race up until that point. Yeah, unfortunately it just seems like with the battling, perhaps with the contact mode of this game, or perhaps when the ET driver's getting a little bit too aggressive, or it could have been a mistake on Simon's part as well, but it's resulted in him spinning, and there's a safety car, so that could be perhaps a small saving grace for him, and definitely an advantage to the guys like Nardi who are on fresher softs. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the safety car was for. I don't know if it was one of the, I don't know if it was Ivan Jimenez retiring, but
yeah, it looks like Ivan's lost it coming where we just saw that battle, actually, just on the entry into 5 and 6. It looks like Ivan has lost the car there, so he's out of the race. He's retired from this one. This gives an opportunity for those drivers who we think have to come into the pits again, like Dimitri Minic. He's on his way in, and we're seeing a few more as well. Mateo, I think, is another unsurprising one to come into the pits off that set of the medium tyres. We've also got Yerne, Kodon N'Golo, Noel Carlman coming in. It said there always seems to be a late safety car at every single Bahrain race. That is the case here. As you mentioned, big winners out of that one. Vincent Nyquist and Nardi Perez all of a sudden right back into this lead battle on fresher tyres than those cars ahead of them.
yeah, definitely a huge advantage for the guys like Nardi, who now that'll play a huge advantage as the softs do wear out very fast. So the guys like Sergio and stuff, when the safety car restart does come into play, they might struggle a little bit towards the last couple laps, the penultimate lap and the last lap. That's where the tire advantage could come into play. Interesting to see guys like Yanni Dovson pitting, as obviously they were on only like 4 lap old tyres, as Dimitri we knew had to pit, so this has worked out very well for him as he's in the top 10 now and he's on a fresh set, so we'll see what he can manage with his teammate ahead of him. I'm sure he won't be fighting him too hard, but yeah, Simon will be feeling very hard done by. with the way the race had gone so far and up until that point, it had pretty much been perfect for him. And yeah, battling with the two ET8 cars can always be quite tricky when you have two teammates working against you, but I'm sure it wasn't any of their intention for him to result in a spin. But he's got kind of another opportunity now to try and pick up another few positions as his teammates in P5, but he does have a penalty, so yeah, Simon has another chance to maybe try and gain some points back for WR. But yeah, definitely sad to see for going from the lead and leading the whole race and being in charge pretty much to unfortunately being spun around and having to end up in 7th.
Yeah, of course, those penalties at the moment, you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, really going to be costly for Yannick Van Es, just in that race, and Mattia De Campo, all in 3 seconds. They're only going to have 5 laps once the safety car comes in to try and work their way back up, so it's going to be tough for them. You've got Elias Steve and Alex Santana as well, both with penalties towards the back of the order, well outside of the point, so any chance they've got of getting points, gone outside of the window with that one. Safety car then, as we come on to lap number 24 of this race. Safety car out there for the retirement of Ivan Jimenez. One of 3 retirements. We saw Wigo and J. Cole retiring in the pits. Ivan losing it out of turn number 4. Everyone's tyres now. No worries about making it to the end. Yes, we've got those on the fresher tyres. Perez and Nyquist slightly fresher than those ahead of him. Minich, De Campo, Dovzan, Kodor, and the rest behind extremely fresh tyres. Everyone with full ERS as well. Will Dylan Woman try to gun it once the safety car comes in to break that 1 second? Or will he be quite happy just to, I imagine, he will be quite happy just to let Sergio stay behind him?
Yeah, the ET8 guys are quite lucky in the way that they both have each other right beside each other, so they can work together to defend from other cars. Sergio can kind of be like Dylan's defence, but yeah, they'll probably be working together to try and bring home this one too. Which will be quite difficult, but everyone with full batteries now, as those 2 cars were the ones like for the majority of the race were quite low in ERS, but with the safety car coming out, obviously everyone with 100%, it's gonna be interesting to see how they deploy their ERS, who's willing to kind of just send it off the restart, and who's perhaps going to wait for the last couple of laps. As those last 2 laps will be very interesting to see, and how many laps of DRS we get as well will be interesting. So yeah, it's going to be an intriguing end.
It's going to be a wild end, I think, to this race. That is one thing we can guarantee now, that everyone has got plenty of ERS. Everyone is on decent life, soft tyres. If you're Sergio and Alberto Barros, you might be feeling a bit more worried having 6-lap-old soft tyres. Yes, they'll get to the end. They're not going to be too fantastic, though, on this restart. And we won't be long before the restart. Safety car coming in this lap. You can see Dylan Warren, he was keen to get this race underway, trying the old Lewis Hamilton tactic of driving alongside the safety car, trying to speed things up a bit as they come through turn number 9 and 10. That doesn't really work in real life. Doesn't really going to work on the game, but definitely I think makes the drivers feel a bit better. And this long train, all trying whatever they can to get any bit of heat into their tyres. It is a long, long run from the final corner down towards turn number 1. So Dylan Warren doesn't want to go too early here. He does not want to give DRS, well, he doesn't want to give a brilliant slipstream to everyone. He has actually gone quite early there before we've even got to the final corner, and it seems to have worked out well for the McLaren. So he leads this race with 5 laps to go. Sergio Sabrino in second place. Alberto Barros has lost plenty of time in that. He's already dropped to more of a second, and we've got the 2 CRE drivers getting close together. Dimitri and Justin. Will Justin just let Dimitri on his way through? Yene Dovzan trying to battle in as well with Matteo De Campo. And Dovzan just losing out on this one for this occasion, and that could give Kodon and Golo an opportunity to get the move done. Darksy and Coleman battling as well for 13th and 14th. An ideal restart though for Dylan Warren as Kodon and Golo tries to send one round the outside of Dovzan. He's got a 6/10 of a second lead. Can he just keep his teammate in second place and give ET8 that perfect start to the season?
Yeah, perfect restart from Dylan. Managed it very well. Went quite early, just before the final corner, and managed to get perfect exit. The top 5 were all pretty sharp off the restart. I think it was Alberto in 6th that just perhaps got caught napping a little bit, and that's created quite a big gap now in the train. So the top 5 were all very close to one another, and then from 6th and below, as Simon passes Alfa Romeo. So yeah, he'll be looking to try and bridge that 2-second gap now, which is going to be quite tricky as we've not got many laps remaining, but perhaps with a little bit of battling in the top 5, then yeah, that can quickly dissolve.
Yeah, I think with quite a bit of help from his teammate running wide for a few corners, that should do it as well. Yannick nowhere near staying on the circuit there, coming through turn number 13. Dimitri Minic is up into 7th place. Let's not count him out for a good performance for CRE as well. Said it's always a gamble going for that medium soft strategy. You have to rely on a safety car. It was a gamble worth doing for him. Matteo De Campo now is nearly going 3 wide again, and Alberto Barros is fighting it back. And I think that one was a bit of a desperate move from Barros, very late on the brakes. Just got caught, a half spin, drops him outside of the points. In fact, now down into 13th place. I don't think there was any damage on the other cars, but now there's an opportunity for Codon N'Golo to send it all the way around the outside of Matteo De Campo. And that hasn't worked on this occasion, as Dimitri and Simon are now battling through the S's. You don't see this too often, and Dimitri has got the move done. I can only imagine Simon's made a bit of a mistake there, because he's dropped back behind Yerne Dovzan nearly. The Mercedes and the Ferrari going side by side. Simon's got the inside line for 9 and 10. You'd imagine he would be able to hold that position off, but Yerne is not making it easy for him. And in fact, the Shizou man's made it work. How on earth has that happened?
Yeah, Yerne's managed to get himself back into P7 from starting at the back. That's been a splendid drive from the Shizou driver. I'm sure they'll be very happy with him. Unfortunately, Doxy hasn't had as much progression as his teammate, but I see Simon down in 12th place. I don't know if he's had an issue, or I think he might have just ran wide. But yeah, for the ET8 cars, it's been pretty much a perfect safety car restart. They're well in control. They can both work together. Vincent is quite close behind Sergio, but yeah, as long as Sergio has the DRS off of Dylan, I'm sure they'll be relatively safe from any pressure behind.
Yeah, will Vincent think it's worth going for a move? Again, Nardi Perez has loads more ERS than the drivers ahead of him, so could he be the driver who thinks about going for it on this occasion? Yerne Dovzan then gets ahead of Dimitri Minic. This battle for 6th and 7th. They're dropping back behind Yannick Van Es, so WOR could still manage to get a driver in the top 5 here, perhaps. 3 seconds of time penalties though. Needs to find 1.4 ahead of the rest of the field. It's going to be a battle for the lead of, well, maybe not for the lead of the race, maybe for 2nd place. I think ET8 will be quite happy to multi-21 this and give some team orders just to keep Dylan and Sergio in the order that they are. Being such a short championship, getting 43 points would be an absolute dream. Fastest lap of the race is on Nardi Perez at the moment, so he would get that 1 bonus point, and I'm not sure anyone's going to beat that as this goes on, as Alberto's had a spin coming out of turn number 10, just running wide there, drops down to last place. He's one driver who is really struggling on those older tyres. I think Sergio's starting to struggle on his older rubber as well. Vincent got within 0.2 of a second there. Is he going to be close enough to just think about this send towards the first corner?
Yeah, the Alpine's very close to McLaren. Is he going to risk it? That's the thing with the team championship. You just kind of have to evaluate how much risk are you willing to take. Are you willing to just bring the points home for the team, or are you wanting to go that one step further? Because you'll probably be aware that ETA are probably working together, and they're able to kind of manage the race a little bit easier than he does, as his teammates battling for 8th and 9th. So yeah, it's just about how much risk you're willing to take.
Yeah, in all that battling for 8th and 9th, Batea and Darksy getting involved as well, and I saw some carbon fibre come flying off, and unfortunately for Darksy, it was his left end plate from his front wing, so he's going to be understeering all over the place. Oh, Nardi Perez has sent one on Vincent there into turn number 8, and that's sometimes for danger if you don't go for the move. Nardi Perez has made it work, and now he's up into 3rd place. Will he go for it on Sergio? Has he got enough time to possibly battle for the lead in this race? Very opportunistic from Nardi Perez. He's up into 3rd. I don't think Vincent was expecting that one. And with a lack of ERS after what has been such a brilliant race for him, looks like he's just going to miss out on the podium.
Yeah, Nardi Perez, this is what we were kind of talking about earlier, him being kind of the ERS saver. He's managed to harvest up to 60%, and he's using it all now with the front two, with considerable less than him. He could be a massive threat now, definitely for 2nd places. Sergio's flashing into the final corner, and yeah, that's pretty much the move done already for Nardi. As Leo feels like he's a jinx for his drivers. He says Doxy needed to make a move, and unfortunately that resulted in damage. But yeah, Nardi's passing it into P2, and can he threaten Dylan now?
Yeah, can he threaten Dylan? Yannick's dropping a long way down the field here. I was just trying to see if he'd had a puncture. Yerne's caught him up. He's going to drop outside the points. WOR we're going to end up with no points here after what was looking very promising early on. Kodon and Golo trying to go down the inside of Noel Carman, almost going down the inside of Dimitri as well. Elias picks up a time penalty. It's been a good recovery from what was a tough start of the race for Kodon and Golo. He's still battling side by side with Janiek. He's made that work. Will Nardi Perez be able to take the lead of this race, though? He's half a second behind. That's not close enough to really go for a move into turn number 11 as Janiek's had a spin coming out of the hairpin. He drops down the order 13th from 14th for what was looking like a very promising start of this race for WOR, with Janiek moving through the field and Simon just driving away from the rest of the field. Dylan Warren, since he's stuck the lead, he's not had a chance to drive away from the rest of the field. There's been that safety car. He had a controlled restart. Is there any possibility? Dylan's lost it! Dylan Warren spins coming out of turn number 13. Disaster! The ETA 1-2 thrown away on the final sector, and it is going to be Nardi Perez who crosses the line to take the victory. Here in Bahrain, it's a win for Perez. Sabrino in second. Nyquist in third. I do not believe what I've just witnessed.
That is unbelievable. Incredibly unfortunate to have to lose the race in the last sector, just the penultimate corner essentially. I must be gutting for Dylan and gutting for ETA as well, because they were looking well set for a 1-2. So yeah, really unfortunate for those boys, but very good drive from Nardi Perez. He managed the race pretty much perfectly. He was very in touch with his ERS the whole time, and whilst he didn't have enough ERS to get a move on Dylan, he managed to slot himself into P2. He worked his way up the order, and yeah, he done a good race. So unfortunate for Dylan, but unfortunately that's just sometimes the way races go. And yeah, the WR boys will also be really disappointed with how their race ended after the start that they had. But whilst it's not the longest championship, there's a fair few races to go, so there's opportunities to make up points. But yeah, a good start for FER, and a relatively good start as well for ETA. I'm sure they'll take a lot of confidence from what they saw tonight. Whilst it might not have been the end result they would have wished for, I'm sure there's plenty of positives they can take from it.
Yeah, it was still a fantastic race for them, but it is FER with Nardi Perez who take the victory there. Sergio Sabrino hanging on to second, and Vincent Nyquist getting a third place there. We thought he was just going to miss out, but that spin from Dylan Warren looked like he just lost it on the curb, trying to get a good exit. So costly for him. These are the provisional results then from round number 1 of the TTG Esports Invitational at the Bahrain International Circuit, and it is Nardi Perez who wins. A Spanish 1-2, a Spanish team 1-2, with ET8 and Sergio Sabrino in second place. Vincent in third for Intrepid. Yuri Dovzan last to fourth. Superb job for him for Shazoo. Dimitri getting a bit lucky with that safety car. Sometimes you make your own luck though. He finishes in fifth. Kodon and Golo in sixth. Mateo tried that alternate strategy, starting on the soft. He ends up finishing in seventh. Dylan Warren, 21 points thrown away out of turn number 13. He is in 8th place. Noel Carman and Alex rounding out the top 10. Then it was Darksy, RJW, LS, Simon Vietar, Justin, Alberto, Janiak. We saw retiring towards the end, as did Ivan, Jaco and Wigo, the other retirements from what was a crazy race. At the start, though, looked like it was going to be a straightforward win for Simon.
Yeah, it went from being an ordinary DRS kind of train and Simon breaking DRS and looked like it was going to be an easy win for him, but of course that safety car and the pit stops in general threw up quite a few hurdles for him, and unfortunately it didn't work out for him. But yeah, it's not often you see that kind of penultimate corner, the leader spinning. I think it was probably a little bit of pressure from Nardi Perez. He probably knew he had an ERS advantage and he was closing in on that last lap, but yeah, just a sign of probably pushing a little bit too hard, and unfortunately it ended in the spin.
Yeah, I think it, like you said, just the lap before, we'd seen, Sergio just get it a bit wrong coming out of turn number 14 and 15, and Nardi was able to get a fantastic exit and get the move to work. So I wonder if that was just playing on his mind for a bit. We are going to try and invite some of our top drivers in to get some interviews. We said Nardi was doing a brilliant job managing his ERS in that race. That turned out to be important for him, and I think again that's what put ETA under pressure towards the end. Simon Vietar, as we've already mentioned, though, seems like he's not too happy about some of the moves that may have been going off in that race. I think we could see some stewards' inquiries.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure there will be, definitely, sures will be busy. Probably tonight and for the next, probably tomorrow evening as well. As always with these sort of races, when there is contact made, drivers will feel like they were perhaps robbed of certain positions, etc. So yeah, the stewards will be busy, but overall I felt it was a relatively clean race. Driving standards weren't, I didn't see any obvious, like, any malicious intent or anything, any horrible moves, but of course from our perspective we didn't get to see the driver's views, so it could be a little bit different.
Yeah, obviously not getting to see that, and I think, as we probably expected things to be, that late safety car really led to plenty of action, plenty of penalties, and with everyone knowing they've only got 5 laps to make any moves, that's perhaps where it got a tiny bit messier, but as you said, not really too messy. We'll leave it a few more minutes to see if anyone does want to join us for any interviews. I imagine they're just a bit relieved on how things went in that race. Great result as well for third place man Vincent Nyquist, getting him into third, stuck with the leaders at the start, and maybe him and Nardi did just gain a tiny bit from that safety car because they'd gone out longer. It gave them the fresher tyres at the end. If it wasn't for that though, do we think they'd have got back within DRS range of our front two?
I think it would have been unlikely. I don't see, I wouldn't have seen them. They perhaps would have gotten right at the end, but it would have been hard to probably have made moves because they would have had to use a lot of ERS to catch back up. But yeah, for sure, the safety car did help them out. But like you said, you make your own luck. So, you know, luck was on their side today, and it might be on others in the next race. So you have to take it when it comes to you.
Yeah, definitely. You can't complain when things go well. We have actually got one of the drivers in the interview, so we'll get his way in. Sergio, can you hear us?
Yes.
Congratulations on a second place in that race. Obviously, a bit gutting for ET8 with what happened with Dylan. Tell us about the race from your perspective.
Yes, very good race. I finished second, and well, I could have won if I defend Nardi better. But yes, it's a good result for the team.
Yeah, certainly. Good result. Dylan still picking up points. We saw at the start of the race, Simon just pulling away from yourself and Dylan. Were you tempted to try and overtake Dylan and see if you had an opportunity to catch Simon up at that first part of the race?
Yes, we managed to defend from the war, and yes, it's a very good result.
Yeah, certainly. Good start to the season. Ayub, any questions for Sergio?
No, I was just going to say congratulations for bringing home P2. I'm sure you guys must be a little bit disappointed, obviously not being able to get the 1-2, but I'm sure, is this something you think you can build on? I think, are you expecting to be fighting for podiums regularly, or do you think this might be a rarity?
Yes, we are going to fight for podiums every race.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see many more battles in the short season that we have upcoming.
Yeah, definitely looks like it could be very interesting. Heading into the next round, it is at Belgium. Do you know if you'll be driving there? And if so, is that a track you think you can do well at again?
Well, I don't know. I hope so. But yes, I will train for it.
Yeah, that's obviously, I'm sure a lot of drivers very experienced around there now. Congratulations, Sergio. I'll let you head off and celebrate your podium.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks to Sergio for joining us. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we are going to get either Nardi Perez or Vincent Nyquist, our first and third place finishers. Sergio seems pretty confident with how things are going to go for ET8 this season, and who can blame him? They definitely had some fantastic pace there. Obviously, bittersweet with Dylan's incident towards the end, but they'll be feeling good going into the remaining 4 races.
Yeah, for sure. They showed a lot of pace today, and they definitely a lot of confidence to take. They were looking at securing a 1-2, so of course the final result perhaps isn't what they wanted, but like a lot of teams will be taking a lot of positives from tonight and learning from perhaps where they got it wrong. WR as well, I'm sure they'll be very happy with the pace that showed, especially Simon. He was arguably probably the quickest today, despite not getting the end result. But yeah, with a short season like this though, the main thing will be perhaps in the next couple of races people will be trying to take less risks, as you kind of just want to collect the points, and at the end, you know, in Brazil perhaps you can be willing to take a little bit more risks if you're having to go for those extra points, but at the moment I feel like collecting points will be a lot of teams' priority. But yeah, overall it was a very good race. I felt we got a lot overtaken, a lot of good battling. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely a good race. Hopefully, the rest of the season is that good as well. As we were saying, next week we are going to be at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit for the Belgian Grand Prix, so make sure to check that one out. 9 p.m. Central European Summertime, 8 p.m. British Summertime. But from myself and Ayob, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we'll see you in a week's time at Belgium. Take care of yourselves, and goodbye.